Hey, so this morning, I was reading the account of the woman with the issue of blood in Matthew, Mark, and Luke, and one of the verses says, "And a woman having an issue of blood 12 years, which had spent all her living upon physicians, neither could be healed of any, came behind him and touched the border of his garment, and immediately her issue of blood was stanched." So we have this woman who was sick. She was considered unclean, and the Jews, they would avoid her. They probably wouldn't go near her, which means that they don't want to look at her, they don't want to talk to her, they definitely don't want to touch her, because then they would feel like they were made unclean. One day there's this crowd of people, right? And in the account, the Bible is saying that of all these people, there was a lot of those thronging after him, so those coming for him, those wanting to touch him. But this one woman, she had told herself, but if I just touch his clothes, his garment, I'll be made whole. She was convinced of it. She realized that she had a need. I think about why he pinpointed her. Why did he stop and say, "Who touched me? I perceive virtue has gone out of me." And that virtue is like this strength and power that can produce an effect on another. And that's exactly what it is. Virtue comes from Christ. And in the Bible, we see that it calls Ruth a virtuous woman. But then we have this woman who was sick, who was unclean, who was an outcast. And she received that virtue, which means that she was a virtuous woman as well. Okay? And we can see virtue in Ruth, but can you see it in those who are not like you, in those who have a different need of you? So he said, "Who touched me?" Why do you, or I'm thinking about this, and why would he pinpoint her? I believe that he wanted to recognize in front of all those people her faith in him over the filth that was in her. We're no different. We're unclean. Apart from Christ, we're unclean. We have our filth, but he extends to us a measure of faith, and we can take that measure of faith, and of course it can grow, right? It can become great. We can believe God will do what he said he'd do. She brought her condition to him, and he gave her comfort. She brought her problems, and he provided her with peace. After she touched him and he perceived the virtue had gone out, she was healed immediately, it says, and his response was, "Daughter, be of good comfort. Thy faith hath made thee whole. Go in peace. Be of good comfort. Thy faith made thee whole. Go in peace." What was the difference between her and the rest? I was thinking about that this morning. Well, all this crowd there, they're all thronging at him, wanting to get to him, receive something, right? But she's the one who received. She's the one who received. Why? Because I believe they were there. Okay. I believe that she was there because she truly knew her condition. She truly needed cleansing. She knew that she had a real need and that he was the only one that could meet it. I believe the others were there for convenience. There's a difference. There's a difference. What made her worthy of the healing that day? Her faith. Her faith made her whole. Her faith. So it doesn't matter how filthy you feel like you are. Faith in God changes everything. He tells us when Peter was on the housetop and God was giving him the revelation in that dream, God said, "What I've called cleansed, don't call uncommon. What I have cleansed, don't call uncommon." He's wanting, God is wanting, God is willing, and he wants to save people by faith, and he wants to clean them up, and he wants to recognize faith, because faith is of him, right? He wants to recognize that. So when you get saved, you're a new creature in Christ. You can let go of all that other stuff, all right? In fact, don't just touch his garment. Hang on to it. Cling to Jesus and keep following him. Be of good comfort. Go in peace. Be blessed.